Welcome back, YouTube. For those that follow this channel, normally it's about performance and how to get the maximum amount of horsepower, torque, RE combination, or different performance aspects of the automobiles. Last evening, I was able to catch one of the Uncle Tony Garage episodes. It seems that he had a guest on his normal broadcast, and that individual must have been from the Great Lakes region. And then Uncle Tony's Garage is obviously in Tennessee. They were talking about fuel economy and the grades of fuel. They used a term that is very popular within the Great Lakes region called top tier fuel. Top tier fuel in this broadcast was saying that the fuel manufacturers create an elite fuel, that it's got more octane to it, less ethanol. I want to just basically correct that. For those of you in the Tennessee or the southern states, you might hear the gas station chain called Buc-ee's. We have something very similar to that in the Great Lakes region called Quick Trip. And Quick Trip is the only fuel station, Quick Trip Fuel is the only gasoline station that has the top tier sticker on the gas pumps. Now, some of you might think that, hey, that's the best fuel that you can get. It's got all the different additives to it, the detergents, and it lacks the 10 or 15% ethanol in the fuel. Folks, I want to correct that. That is a marketing ploy to draw individuals to the Quick Trips to get their fuel. So if you're, concerned with the quality of fuel that you're buying, whether you need higher octane, some of the people fall for that marketing ploy. So I'm going to give you the challenge for those of you that have a top tier fuel gasoline station within your region. Very early in the mornings, when you see the large fuel trucks, bringing in your fuel to fill the underground tanks at your local gas station, I want you to follow them. Okay, normally in that 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning region, because the fuel depots, they fill up every one of those trucks out of the very same tanks. There is no such thing as top tier fuel. What they're referring to is which gasoline chain in your region gets the first dibs of having their trucks filled up. Okay? Now imagine that, even if you are filling your vehicle in the mornings, okay? If it's 50 degrees outside, in the mornings when you're filling up your gas tank compared to, say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon when it's 70, 80 degrees outside. In the mornings when you're pumping your fuel, because of the density of the air, the fuel that you're getting is the fuel that has settled to the bottom of the tanks. Because once again, the pickup tubes in those gasoline tanks are at the bottom. So when they're siphoning fuel up to the pump to go out to your dispenser, you're getting a more dense fuel, but you're also getting the fuel at the bottom of the tank. So if your gas station is old, the sediment that collects at the bottom of the tank, or the rust, you're also getting exposed to that. The top tier badging at the Quick Trips means that the filters themselves that are on the individual gasoline pumps are kept track of. They're changed more often. Okay, so here in the state of Wisconsin, our regulatory government bodies, they make sure that every gas station changes their filters, that the amount of fuel that you're getting is accurate to the gauge. The top tier means that the Quick Trip gas stations change their filters, their gasoline filters on the pumps, more often and more regularly. Now, the quality of that filter is the exact same filter that every gasoline station uses within their gas pumps, because they're serviced by the exact same corporation. So the only thing you're necessarily getting with top tier gasoline is that the manufacturer, or excuse me, not the manufacturer, the distributor is the first one in the mornings to fill up their trucks. So they can travel to all the different Quick Trips to fill up their holding tanks. They're also held to a little bit higher standard of how often they're changing those filters. So approximately every month, they're changing those filters one time, or by how many gallons have passed through them, which is calculated within the store. So folks, just informational for you. Uncle Tony, if you do get into this, the top tier quality gasoline is a myth. It is what is being pumped into the fuel tank of your vehicle. And there might be some additional filtering there. but mostly the gas stations up here, they're all in the same schedule because the authorities that manage our fuel pumps, they're the exact same corporation. Okay, they make sure every one of our gas stations, doesn't matter if it's Shell, Phillips 66, BP, they're all held to the exact same regulatory standards. When you see at the pump the different gradings, whether it be 87, 89, or 91 octane, sometimes you'll notice the 91 or 93 octane will say it's absent from any methanol being added. Ethanol has its attributes and its cons. In the wintertime, especially in the Great Lakes region where the quick trip gas stations are, we see temperatures, well below zero during the winter months. That additional ethanol and even the percentage of ethanol that they add to the fuel for winter fuel by the regulations of our state, you can have up to 20% ethanol in every gallon of fuel that you get unless you buy the higher octane. The higher octane fuels, even though they're a higher octane rating, without the ethanol being added, it can add to additional problems in the wintertime when the temperatures drop below 10 below, when gasoline will actually freeze in your fuel lines. Ethanol, being alcohol based, it has a lower freezing point, approximately 30 below zero. Now, any of you working in the summer months, say that you are filling your lawnmower, chainsaw, and so forth, you will be using the higher octane rating. Not because the compression requires it, because most of your chainsaws and lawnmowers are, piss poor, 8-to-1 compression, if that. They don't require the higher octane, but realize those engines are also air cooled. So the combustion chamber temperatures are also increased. So your fuel octane rating is not necessarily just because of the mechanical compression, it is also the static compression and the makeup of the materials that make your engine. Same with mopeds or motorcycles. Being air cooled, the interior temperatures will be increased. Okay, even if it's an aluminum engine with air fins, similar to a smaller engine like this, the combustion temperatures are higher than a liquid cooled engine. They're designed that way. So again, don't fall for this top tier gasoline. It's not an additional detergents added in. That doesn't happen. Okay, fuel is regulated by government, whether it be octane reading or the amount of filtration it receives before you put it in your vehicle. Simple as that. The top tier is a marketing ploy because prior to approximately 2015, the Quick Trip gasoline chain of stores had multiple litigations brought against it because their fuel was not up to snuff. Many people that would run their lower octanes would complain about fuel filters being clogged. Excuse me. Or the gasoline was actually old. Okay, it would start to tar up or gel up, especially with the diesel fuels. Since they have converted to that top tier, the marketing employees that they're taking the additional steps because of those previous litigation lawsuits, that they're having fresh gas and you're getting the quality of filtration through the filters at the pump. It's not a different fuel because all of the fuel, if you follow these fuel trucks to the depots, they're being collected from the exact same tank. Every gas station is receiving the exact same fuel. It's that simple, folks. So with that, I just want to correct that. Now, once you start getting into racing fuels and leaded fuels, Rocket Brand, Turbo Blue, that's a different story. Okay, those do not come from the exact same pump. They're going to be specific to the refinery they come from and the depots that they're stored, or even in the train cars that will transport the fuel to different locations. So again, just remember that. Your C16 is going to be completely different than your rocket fuel. That's a whole different category. And the age of any leaded fuel, Okay, remember this, even for you alcohol racers will realize this quite a bit. The older your leaded fuel is, the higher content of moisture. I love that name, right? Or love that word. The higher content of water that will be found in your fuel. So if you have a 50-gallon drum of C16 and you don't use it within 3 months, the octane level will not be 116. It will be much lower. So getting your fuel fresh is the most important part. And trying to gather your gasoline or fill your gas pump when it is the coldest portion of the day is a benefit to all of you. So with that, hopefully that straightens out some of the confusion. Once again, the octane requirements of each engine is different. In the video, the guest on Uncle Tony's Garage said that his 302 cubic inch Ford engine had approximately 9.5 to 1 compression, so he utilized that higher octane 92 or 93 octane. That he found that there was better fuel mileage out of that. Realize cast iron equipped cylinder head engines, 9.5 to 1 compression is going to be in that range where you're going to need a little bit more. Okay, you're going to need a little higher octane. But if you're an aluminum headed engine, that number will jump up to 11, 11.5 to 1. Running a mixture of leaded fuel or unleaded fuels to help balance out your budget. Again, it comes down to not only the mechanical compression of 9.5 to 1, it's also the static compression that's created by your camshaft profile. What is your static or pumping compression on the engine? So yes, a 302 with a street type camshaft will have a higher static compression. Not mechanical necessarily, but it'll be higher static. That requires a little additional fuel. So some of your mid 80s to early 1990s cast iron equipped cylinder headed engines in that 9.5 to 1 compression ratio, yes, they're going to require 91 octane to be happy. Okay. It has nothing to do with the amount of ethanol that's necessarily in the fuel. So with that, hopefully that keeps it straightened out. Have a good one.